All right, let's get started. Lucky Up, number one, Journey to the End of the Night, Céline, notorious fascist, anti-Semite, one of the great works of the 20th century, one of my favorite French novels. It's an S. I'm assuming we're not going to get many S's yet. Our very first book, that's an S. Remains of the Day, Ishiguro, famously Nobel laureate, often assumed to be Japanese, but he's ethnically Japanese. He's a British author. Really good novel. My favorite of Ishiguro. That's an A. Cicerone the Good Life. Came to me in a difficult time. I didn't finish it, and I'll probably revisit it one day. Let's do DNF revisit. Welcome to the Monkey House. I read it. I've read a lot of Vonnegut. I don't remember a single thing about it, and I would struggle to differentiate it from a lot of other Vonnegut. It's a revisit. Probably a C if I was to rank it. Never Let Me Go, that's a C. Books of Jacob, oh my god, another one. Books of Jacob, one of the greatest books of this century. A masterpiece. Not a lot to say. Read it if you like long novels. It's maximalist. Period piece, translated from... That's embarrassing. Polish? Cringing at myself for not knowing. Death of Ivan Illich. Very short. Very good. Is it an A? I don't really remember it that well, and it's no Dostoevsky. It's a B for me. Why I Write? This is one of those really pithy penguin writer books. Useful, interesting. I mean, it's Orwell. He's a fine writer. Let's put it as C. What We Talk About When We Talk About Love. Really good short story collection. Man, I want to memory hole this one, actually. I would maybe put it A to B. I don't really remember. I'll put it a DNF revisit. No, it's not a DNF though. I need a new category. That's the memory hole. That's where we're putting Carver and Monkey House. All right. Oh, another one. The Third Reich. Controversially, it might be my favorite Bolaño. It's the novel I've read more than any other novel. I've read it 7 or 8, maybe 9 times. It's a masterpiece. It's incredible. Check it out. This is Lacan's 8th, Seminars 8, I think, where he writes about anxiety. It's theory, and it's really difficult to read. For what it is, I'm going to put it in a DNF revisit. I mean, it's hard to tier list something like that. If you're into Lacan, if you're into psychoanalytic theory, maybe you'd read it. American Pastoral. I love Philip Roth. American Pastoral. It was good. I'm going to put it at a B. It might be an A. I'm going to put it at an A. I don't remember it amazingly, and I would like to revisit it, but I know it's very good. It's, filthy and strange and deliciously American, and it's pure Roth. It's really, really a good novel. The Big Sleep, classic detective, probably Chandler's Best. Not for me. It's a C. Fathers and Sons. All right, we're getting a lot of S. Fathers and Children is so good. It's a sort of philosophical novel in the classic Russian sense, rich with themes, and yet, what am I trying to say? If you're interested in nihilism, you've probably heard of it. If you're interested in Russian literature, you've heard of it. And if you haven't read it and you like Russian literature, you have to read it. It's really good. And the Fathers and Children translations are good too. There's a lot of really excellent translations. Infinite Jest. It could go up or down. I need to revisit that. It's been a long time. It's a complicated one. Blake. I'm not a poet. I would put Blake. He's anywhere from S to A, but it's been a really long time, and I would struggle to really even name works of Blake, let alone recite them. It's a DNF revisit. Nope, that's a pure memory hole. That's one of them. There's going to be a lot of Hesse in this list. And Knolp. It's like, is that Peter Camenzind? Is that Gertrude? They all just blur, and they're the lesser works. Hesse has some really good works. Knolp ate it. Rabbit Run, not quite an A. Serviceable, funny, fun, classic Updike. It's a little dated. It works. I'd read it again. It's a B. Borges fiction. Does it need to be said? Sprawling and labyrinthian, short, influential to the nth degree. I'd read it again and again. I look forward to reading it again. It's an S. Alright, Peplum. This is a no dialogue graphic novel about ancient Rome. It's pretty cool. I put it out a C. Cowboy Graves. I can't remember a single story from Cowboy Graves. What? I'm putting that in the memory hole. Alright, Stephen King's collection, Everything's Eventual. I remember this had 1408. I read this very long time ago. I'm going to give it a C. Do I even need the D? I don't know if there are any D. We'll get there, maybe. I feel like if it's a D, it's a D and F. King, it's King. He's fine. The Bacchae, Euripides. Some of the greatest tragedies in this collection. Should I put it in an S? My heart says yes, but I like the novel compared to drama, and it's an A. If you're interested in ancient theatre or ancient tragedy in particular, read the Bacchae. Jailbird. Where's Monkey House? You're going right next to it. I have no idea what happened in Jailbird. None. Alright, Fooled by Randomness. Let's go DNF. Nah, memory hole. This is a... Let's delete this one. Fooled by Randomness is a... Fooled by Randomness, it's non-fiction. It's just about how numbers and randomness and the brain works. It's Taleb. He did, The Black Swan, The Bed of Petruscus. Check it out if you want. Not for me. I wouldn't reread it. Riders in the Chariot. Wyatt. I'm in a memory hole that. Actually, I don't think I finished it. So, I'm due for a revisit. I'd really like to revisit it. I wish I could say more. Maybe one day I can. No Exit. Hell is Other People. Funny. Sart. Fine. Let's put it at a C. Plutarch, Fall of the Roman Republic. Yeah, seminal. Super important. I read it in classics. I didn't read it all. I might go back to it one day. If it's relevant, you get what you get on the box. Let's put it at a C. DNF. Endgame. Man, this isn't a good start to Beckett, but I don't care for Endgame. I don't remember it, which isn't a good sign when you don't remember a book in and of itself. It's obviously a play. It's no Godot and it's no trilogy, so let's just put it at a DNF. Alright, well, it's going up there, obviously. Alright, what's next? That's from Underground. What is going on? It's just... Alright, I should say some stuff. This, Gravity's Rainbow, another maximalist, American masterpiece. If you want to learn your vocab and become fantastically erudite, you read Nabokov, you read Borges, even though he doesn't write English, and you read Pynchon. As for and hilarious as well, hilarious novel. Same as Roth, very filthy and fun. Now, Notes, it's a seminal work. It is. I revisit it maybe once a year. I know many people who have read it outside of, people that really even read books. Very influential, very popular. Speaks to the current times. It's one of those perennially relevant philosophical works. Dostoevsky is just a master. Okay. Confederacy. The story behind this book makes it even funnier and even more tragic. It's one of the funniest novels I've ever read. Possibly an S tier, but it's been a while. It's probably an S, but I'd like to read it again before I said so confidently. On the Road. Long time ago I read On the Road. I'm going to put that in a memory hole. Let's go DNF revisit. I should have a more coherent opinion about this book. Shelley, I could actually recite some Shelley. Shelley, this is Percy, used to be my favourite poet many, many years ago. A. I'm just going to put him at a B. Serviceable. Nah, let's do it at A. Alright, is this Oscar Wilde? Is this... Soul of a Man Under Socialism. Did I finish it? It's very short. It's a collection of essays. Memory hole. 2666. Alright. Oh no. Oh bother. Where was Lacan? I think he was in a C. Gotta be careful. 2666. This is, oh my goodness, what's going on with my mouse? Ruining my video. Alright, 2666. This is Bolaño's more popular work, with the exception of The Savage Detectives. It is, most people would say, better than The Third Reich, and I probably would have said that as well throughout most of my academic life. It probably is better than The Third Reich, but I have a soft spot for The Third Reich, the novel, I should say. 2666 is, there's nothing else like it. If you know anything about it, it's incredibly graphic, disturbing. At the same time, it's very academic, human. It's not full of this sort of obscure and sometimes overwhelming poetry that is in The Savage Detectives. And by that I don't mean poetry itself, but like poets and who Latin American poets are, and, you know, the underground world of Chilean and Mexican poets in the turn of the century. So it's more accessible than most of Bolaño's major fiction. It's amazing, and I have read it more than once, and I look forward to reading it again. Dead Souls. Man, I wish I remembered Dead Souls better. It's funnier. It's very cool. It was very influential. A sort of early Russian satire on the serfs. I'm going to put it in a memory hole. No, DNF revisit. But I did finish it. Oh, this should be renamed. I'm going to put it at an A. Could be higher. Could even be lower. I doubt that it's lower, but I'll put it at an A. 101 Detectives. This is contemporary. Compared to The Restless Supermarket, I remember very little of 101 Detectives, and I wouldn't revisit it. I'll put it at a C. It was fine. Farewell, My Lovely. I don't think I finished it, and I don't think I'd go back. The Divine Comedy. I can't believe I'm doing this, but it's an A. I'll just put it at an A. I can't believe I just did that. All right. To Jerusalem and Back. I didn't finish it. It's non-fiction. Saul Bellow in Israel. I really like Saul Bellow, but I like fiction. So, Mother Night. Where are my Vonnegut's? Get out of here. I have no idea. Mother Night? I have no idea what happened in that novel. I don't know what happened in any of these novels. That's not a slight against Vonnegut. They all blur together. 12 Caesars. Now, this is one of the most important books about the Roman Empire, as well as Caesar, and our contemporary understandings of what actually happened. I'll put it at a B. It's not even a C. It's really interesting. Suetonius. I prefer Tacitus, honestly, for different reasons, just as a historian and what Tacitus does between the lines. But this is a good book, and it's something I'd reread. It's something I'd actually like to reread pretty soon. Vernon. Oh, French, filthy, contemporary, really fun, really strange. The kind of stuff I like to write. Fantastic. It's a trilogy. I probably won't include the other two books in the trilogy, and this can just sort of stand in for the trilogy itself, this first one. But Vernon, check it out if you're looking for something set in the modern age where there's, cell phones. It's basically about it. I don't want to spoil it too much, but terrorism in France, prostitution, and a litany of filthy things. Awesome. Hamlet, yeah. You know where Hamlet's going. Now, this is Divine Comedy as well, but this is Alistair Gray's translation. I'm going to leave that at an A as well, and this is a thing I like to do as well, using, like, as a prose stylist, translating things into your own language. I've done some Australian translations of things, trying to make them sound local, and that really interests me. And his illustrations are magnificent, but I don't really actually remember the illustrations in this edition compared to his novels. We'll get to his novels at some point. I love Alistair Gray. He is hilarious and fun and fantastic. All right, Pigs in Heaven. Ooh, let's put it at a C. That's a fine sort of novel. It's about some, what would we say, First Nations Canadians being taken from their family. It's a fine novel. Narcissus and Goldman. This is probably my favorite Hess. It's been a long time. I would put it at an S. I would put it at an S if I'd read it in the last couple of years. This is probably an S. I'm going to put it at an A. In fact, this is now my calling to myself to reread Narcissus and Goldman, because it's been far too long, and it could be an S. And things that are in the it's like, these are the books you want to read. Look at this. These are the things you want to be reading. Rings of Saturn, similarly, could be an S. When I first read it, I really didn't like it, which is interesting. Sometimes you're not in a mood for something, and I was not in the mood, I think, for Rings of Saturn. I revisited it after reading Austerlitz, and I really enjoyed it. It's great. Word of Yesterday, Stefan Zweig. That's not in the C. It's in the B. Probably an A. I'll leave it in the B. One of the most important. There's a few other books in here that are written during the war and leading up to the war, the Second World War. And it's really fascinating, some of the perspective that they give. And for that reason alone, especially based on Zweig's demise, and actually right next, to give a bit of context, Zweig is an incredible prose stylist. And Beware of Pity is one of the few novels I consider a perfect novel. Beware of Pity, one of my all-time favorites. Incredible, underrated. Zweig and Beware of Pity in particular went on to inspire the Wes Anderson film Budapest Hotel, the Grand Budapest, and just to give some indication of his content. You know, this book, when the ending, it's sometimes the end, you want an ending and you don't get it, and sometimes you want an ending and right when you think you're getting it, something happens. You know, a novel, it's like Flann O'Brien or Bolaño himself, something converges, or Kafka. Kafka's a great example of this. Right at the moment that you discover or realize or hope something in the novel, like it's the very next second it happens, or it's revealed, or you're duped. And it's this incredible feeling, and it's really difficult to express, and it's difficult to capture, and it's really difficult to write. And in capturing it, I would put Beware of Pity in an S. Break 1. Taylor, be sure to go back and edit out this. End of break 1. All right, we're getting there, about halfway. The Shallows. This is a non-fiction book about what the internet is doing to our brains. It's fine. I don't remember it, but it's fine. Lord of the Rings trilogy. It's been a long time. It could be an A. Magnificent world building and very good writing, but I just, like when I look at the A's here, I'm not sure where Lord of the Rings goes. And I read it a long time ago, and I wouldn't reread it. It's too long. Silmarillion, I'm going to put that in the DNF nah. You know what? Why not? DNF nah. Now, is that Leviathan? I can't quite, I mean, it must be. That's the Leviathan. Oh, godly gosh. Leviathan, it's not a novel. It's basically laying out principles of not democracy, but liberty and the state. It's very dry. It's of its time. I've used this word a lot, and I'll continue to use a lot. It's seminal. If you're in a philosophy class, you're going to read it at some point. You probably should read it at some point if you're in academia. If you don't have to read it and you don't want to, don't do it. Man and His Symbols. I used to be into Jung, more into Freud now. Not that I'm a Freudian. Interesting, fine. It's been a while. Yeah, I'll put it at a C. Lacan, this isn't actual Lacan, but How to Read Lacan. Zizek wrote it. It's very edible. It's fine. I'll put it at a B because it's Zizek. If you're interested in Lacan, it's probably the way to go. It lays things out pretty clearly. Just is like basic principles. Yeats, I have to revisit Yeats. Not a lot to say on him. Poetry is a bit of an embarrassing blind spot for me, except for a few poets who I really like Dickinson and Bolaño and Pessoa. You know, I'll be a bit blind. The Pearl, I should have kept the D. Because The Pearl is a D, but I'll put it in the DNF now. It's basically a parable. I mean, you could read the Spark Notes, and that would be just as effective. And just for clarity, I really like Steinbeck. We'll get to more of his works that I really like. But The Pearl ain't it. Nightwood, Juno Barnes, modernist, epic in the explanatory sense. It's not epically sprawling. It's very short. It could be an S. I've read it 3 or 4 times. It's really challenging, so I don't know if I can put it in an S because it's just so challenging and difficult. But then again, no, I'll put it at the A. I'll leave it at the A. It's something that I'll read again and again in the future. Check it out if you haven't. 2001, surprisingly good. Is it as good as these things? Sure, it's as good as the movie. Okay, it's not as good as the movie, but it's pretty readable. It's serviceable science fiction. I'll have some other science fiction, which is not so serviceable. Potiki, Patricia Grace. I memory hold this novel. I read it pretty recently, and it was fine, I think, but I didn't really care for it. Being in Time. Alright, well it's no longer fiction in the S tier. Being in Time, when I read that, it's deliciously readable. Some people will find it verbose and perplexing and labyrinthine. I think it's so digestible. I should revisit it. I've written on Heidegger in the past. I really like Heidegger. It just makes sense to me. And I used a lot of his theory throughout my academic trajectory. Raise High the Roof Beam and Seymour. It's been a while. Probably not an S. I don't really remember Raise High, but Seymour I could say was an A. It could be down in the B, but it could be an S. This is one of those I need to be more familiar to really place it. Women in Love. Now, I could not differentiate this from The Rainbow. They're companion pieces. T.H. Lawrence is a really good writer. I really enjoyed reading him. Could be an A. I haven't read it in a while. This is very romantic, schmaltzy British, and I think T.H. Lawrence has written both better and worse works. So I'll put that at a B. V, some of it is S tier. I can't quite put it in S tier. A lot of it is, maybe it is, but some of it isn't magnificent. I'll just put that in the A. Again, that's Pynchon, and that's, American psychedelic silliness with a touch of the detective undergrowth. It's no Crying of Lot 49, but it's very, weirdly Hollywood, weirdly constructed. I don't really know how else to explain it. I'm starting to lose my voice and I want to get through these. The great American novel, Philip Roth, and I really like Roth. That's a memory hole. I also didn't finish it. I don't know if I reread it. There's so many other Roth novels I'd read first. So I'm actually going to put it in DNF now. There's like a baseball sequence, and I don't care about baseball, and I just checked out. Is that even true, or am I thinking of Don DeLillo? I don't even know anymore, That's a DNF now. Goodbye, Columbus. Yeah, that's his first work. Short story. There's a couple other short stories in here. It's fine. It's C. Not his best. Not even filthy enough for me. Will to Power. Oh, cha-cha-cha. I did finish Will to Power. I've read most of it, and I've read a lot of other Nietzsche. I'll put it in the A. It could be S tier. Should be in the down DNF in the revisit. Maybe not. I don't know. Test of the D'Urbervilles. Didn't finish it, and I wouldn't revisit it. I don't know why. Portnoy's Complaint. That's that Roth filth we want. That is that Roth filth we want. A for me. And Frank, B. It's interesting. You know what it is. It's very important. Historically, it's not fiction. I'm a fiction reader. Possibly even a C, actually. I wonder if I should move this. The Golden Heirs. First novel. Latin novel. Funny, silly. It's been a while. Let's put it as C. Billy Budd. Man. Billy Budd's merging with a few others in my mind. I don't even really remember Billy Budd. Let's go DNF revisit. Periodic Table. Really fantastic short story collection. Primo Levi was a Italian chemist, a Jew who was impacted by the Holocaust. I think he was he was in Auschwitz, but his chemistry sort of saved him. And these are ways of talking about and towards the Holocaust without really doing it explicitly. Although some of these stories are based on his memories and experiences in the Holocaust. Some are quite metaphorical. And a couple of the short stories in here are S tier, but I don't know if the book as a whole is S tier. Maybe I'll put on the screen my favorites that I would say are S tier, but it's A. Stoner. Again, probably an S tier work. It's been a long time. This is a very popular novel. I've had professors even say, a classics professor once said this was a favorite novel, which was very interesting. Very popular novel. Got really big, I think maybe Book Talk, and I know 4chan. It's like one of those, Taipei and No Longer Human. Very marketable, somehow very marketable novel. That sort of booms. I'd like to reread it. Could be an S. It's definitely at least an A. The Road in the Evening, Isherwood. This is a very American novel. It was fine. It's pretty good. It was a gift, so it's not something I would normally read. Someone gifted this to me, and I enjoyed it. It's a C. Professor and the Siren. It's no cat pard. It's no leopard. Interesting elements. It's a B. Importance of being earnest. Yeah, you gotta have something wonderful to read on the train. I just don't. Maybe I'm over it. Maybe I'm over earnest. It's a C. Kipling. DNF nah. Maybe I'll regret that one day, but I don't really know or care for Kipling. DNF nah. Iliad. Maybe controversial. People would put it in an S. Again, I don't super care for poetry. I would be more interested in putting the Odyssey up in A. I'm going to put it at a B just because why not? I don't really care for Homer. I mean, that sounds a lot dumber than I mean when I say it out loud. Homer matters, and I've read the Iliad and the Odyssey, and I'm just not feeling the A. It's a B for me. Lanark. Boom, that's an S tier. Lanark, Alistair Gray. He's funny. He's silly. He's a master of topography and building the page. You know, I think Janine does that more, but Lanark does some stuff, you know, and it's got these wonderful, you know, fantasy and science fiction elements intertwined with his rural Scottish idiosyncrasies, and his illustrations. Man, I gotta reread Lanark. That's like such an S tier book. Is that In a Glass Darkly? Memory hole. That's just gothic memory hole. As I Lay Dying. Man, I really should put that at an S. My Mother is a Fish. It's been a while. If I reread it, it could go up to S. I'll put it at an A. Oh man, I don't know actually. I'm tired. I'm gonna put it at an A. An S. Whatever. It's Faulkner, I mean, it's an S. Alice in Wonderland. Really good. Oh gosh, not again. Where did Alice go? Oh golly. Well, I was going to put her in an A. I no longer see it. All of these book titles are merging into one. What? Where did she go? Oh, there she is. All right, let's put her in an A. Really funny, really fun. You can't just write something like Alice in Wonderland. You got to be a maths genius, you know. Wittgenstein's Notebooks, awesome cover, seminal, super good. It's not the Tractatus. Not that I mean, you should read the Tractatus, but let's go B. What was I going to say about the Tractatus? Should you read the Tractatus? I mean, I knew an academic that said, you know, it should be read once to sort of be expunged of itself. Anyway, what am I saying? Get out of here with Wittgenstein. If you know what Wittgenstein is, you read him. If he's important to you, he's important to me, but you read him and then you're done with him. A Tale of Two Cities. Best of times, blurst of times. I used to hate Dickens. I fell in love with Dickens. I don't love Dickens anymore, but I really appreciate him when he gets a lot of hate, especially in academia. Tale of Two Cities. Oh, it could be an A. I'm going to put it at a B. The Hard Life, Flann O'Brien. That's a memory hole. I read that right after I read The Third Policeman. No recollection of what The Hard Life is or does. Here we got some Goggle short stories. The Madman and I think Overcoat and some others. Let's go B. Those are some good short stories. Europe Central. Now, I could see putting this at an S. I really do like William T. Vollmann. In fact, I'm going to put it at an S. This book explores World War II. It's really heavily researched, as Vollmann tends to be, and it explores World War II from both the Russian and German side with some other variants. What am I saying? From the Russian side, it looks at Russian and Nazi generals, it's combat and philosophy and Shostakovich. It's awesome, and it made me fall in love with Vollmann. It's S. The Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu. It's a tough one. You know, I shouldn't put any. I'd put whatever. Lao Tzu, short, simple. The way is not the only way, but the way is the way, and the way is an A. Double inners. Probably some S tier short stories in here. People really love The Dead. I do too. And I'll put it at an A. Butcher's Crossing. Oh boy. Americana. Same author as Stoner. That's John Williams. Fond memories of it. Actually, I would say it was definitely as good as Stoner. At least as good as Stoner. Let's put it at an A. Less Than Zero. Pretty good. Alright, I'm running out of breath. I gotta do this fast. Less Than Zero, yes, capitalism and cocaine and everything is meaningless. In the turn of the century, it's a B. Pride and Prejudice, it's a B. Walter Benjamin, It's an S. Oh, I can't go so far. It's some of the most important writing on technology to have ever been written. It's comparable with the importance of Heidegger. It's probably more important than Heidegger. If you're interested in the theory of media, of technology, of the relationship between print and image and the human mind, if you're interested in what's happened to art and so much more, philosophy of history, he's incredible. Benjamin's incredible. Savage Detectives. Oh, is it an S tier? Many would put it at an S tier. I'm going to put it at an A. It's not as good as 266 and Third Reich. It's the one with all the poets. It's really good. It's really, really good. American Psycho, probably an A. True History of the Kelly Gang, pretty good. Australian book, fiction about the Kelly Gang, it's an A. Creating Rink, B, also really good. Oh, Richard Brannigan. Sombrero Fallout. Yeah, it's fine. It's kind of funny at times, sort of weird. It's no trout fishing. Everything That Rises, that's an A. Some really good short stories in Flannery O'Connor's Everything That Rises. Diary of Virginia Woolf, let's DNF revisit. High Fidelity, DNF, nah, memory hole. The Flounder, oh, there are some funny sequences in The Flounder. Like this flounder being put on trial for misogyny, for like oppressing women. He's put on trial by like all of womankind. Just some really funny sequences. Gunter Grass always has these really surreal, hilarious sequences. It's a B. What is this one? The Loved Ones. Oh, pretty good. I hadn't heard of Evelyn Waugh for until last year. And Loved Ones is really short. It's really fun. It's very Hollywood and silly and satirical. And it works. And I'm going to put it at a B. Zizek on Violence. I'm going to put that at an A. Philosophy of Violence. Very short work of Zizek's, especially for a work of Zizek. It's quite short. I used it in my thesis. And it's really good. Is this a room of one's own and 3 guineas? That's an A. That's philosophy of what it means to be a writer, needing one's own space, and in particular, a woman needing one's own space in the 20th century when you're oppressed by all of these other forces in society that prevent you from pursuing your craft. America probably could go higher than an A. I really like America. It's definitely better than Metamorphosis, which is probably a controversial take. I'm going to put it at an A. Confessions of a Mask. One of Mishima's best. I haven't read all of Mishima, so maybe I shouldn't make that claim. I'm staggered at how many S's there are. I really thought there would only be a couple. Confessions of a Mask is so good. I almost wrote my thesis on Mishima. Check it out. It's comparable to Notes from Underground in its influence and its importance. Is this a passage to India? That's a memory hole. First Love. Man, there are just so many hits on this particular... I'm shocked. First Love, that is one of the best short stories I've ever read. Nabokov also wrote a short story called First Love, and so did Beckett, and they're all incredibly good. And Turgenev's is... it's heart-wrenching, and it's one of my favorite short stories. Check it out. I really love First Love. Martian Chronicles, Memory Hole, Cat and Mouse. Is that the Tin Drum? It's not, but I'm going to DNF revisit. I'm confusing it maybe with the Tin Drum, and there might be some elements I really liked in Cat and Mouse, but I might be misremembering it with a different novel. Is this Oliver Twist? I read Oliver Twist in London. It has a lot of meaning for me. It's not as good as... Where's the other Dickens? Hard Time. Tale of Two Cities. I'm going to put it at a B. It's a B. H.P. Lovecraft Collected. I've only read some of the short... Oh, God. Some of the short stories. It's a DNF revisit. I like some of his short stories a lot. He's got some cool stuff. Austerlitz. S. What is going on with all these S's? How is this happening? Austerlitz, like Rings of Saturn, didn't particularly care for or even get into it the first time. Really struggled and then came back one day and it was like... My mind was blown. Really difficult to explain. He was the son of his parents were in the conspiracy of silence about being complicit with Nazi crimes. I don't think they were Nazis themselves. And he's writing about his experiences growing up after the Nazi regime, as the generation after the Nazi regime. And it's difficult to explain. It uses pictures and collections of places and facts. Fascinating work. really nothing else like it, which is always a really interesting thing to have achieved as a writer, is to have nothing else like it. Speaking of, Invisible Cities is similar. There's not much else like it. I don't super care for Invisible Cities. I'll put it at a B. Road to Wigan Pier. Wow. I think it's as important as 1984. If you're going to be a socialist, you're going to read Road to Wigan Pier, I think, at least, or at least an anti-capitalist. Let's put it there. The Plague, kind of boring. As far as Camus goes, kind of boring. And I don't really remember a lot of it being that interesting. And I like Camus. Or Gamu. And lucky last, would you believe another S tier? We filled out the whole row at +1. The Book of Disquiet. I've read this. I always come back to it. It's a bedside book. It's got so many tags in it. I love the Book of Disquiet. It's existential and poetic and philosophical, and it's just filled with soul. It's got a tragic history. You know, there's a few books in here where the context really brings out something in the work, you know. It's like Kafka. It's like, who is the other in this list? Where it gets imbued with a sort of special extra-textual meaning because of the nature of its creation. World of Yesterday is like this. I can't remember the other one that I was thinking of. Anyway, here's my part 1 list. It took way longer than I thought. This is going to be a massive project. I'll try to keep doing it. I hope this was worth it for me. If anything, it helped me consolidate a little bit about why I read, and I'm shocked at how many S's there were. That's got to just be a random bias from the cross-section that I've taken. Obviously, it goes without saying, anything in the S is like worth reading. Maybe not tune that to yourself, because some of these things I wouldn't recommend to just anyone. But then other ones I would, like Beware of Pity, I would recommend that to anyone. It's incredible. And Book of Disquiet, I would also. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I don't know why I did this. It was a strange little journey. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye. End of recording.